I keep hearing this notion that architects draw well. Well, I'm an architect, and I don't remember the last time I held a regular wooden pencil in my hand. I do a lot of drawing for work, but all of it on the computer. I haven't sketched anything by hand just for fun in like 4 years, I think. By the way, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. In my videos, I try different creative art projects that help restore mental work-life balance with my stressful architecture job. And for my next creative project, I want to challenge myself to sketch something by hand every day for the next 7 days. It's probably not going to be easy, but I'm going to share the good and the bad of this experience with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to day 1 of my challenge. It's 9:30 on a Friday evening. The kitchen has been cleaned, the child is asleep, and now I can have some time for myself. I'm excited for this challenge. I'm excited to put some lines on the paper and see what I'm worth. I used to be very comfortable with drawing around the time when I was in architecture school, but it's been years. Earlier today, I rummaged in my cupboards and found 6 old pencils from my previous life. So I think I'm all set. I'm going to set a 1-hour time limit for myself. It's 9:30 p.m. right now. It will be 10:30 when I'm done, and that's time to sleep. And the point of this exercise is to let loose and get my hand moving again, not to create perfect masterpieces. So 1 hour per sketch should be totally appropriate. When I started considering what I should sketch, I figured that I'll be doing most of my drawing late in the evenings. So sketching from life, I think, is out of the question. I also thought that it would make sense to keep the subject matter somewhat consistent, so that I could judge my progress over the next 7 days. I settled on landscapes, because that's just how I feel these days. I miss traveling and freedom, and I hope that sketching landscapes could transport me to the pretty places that I draw. I'm totally using some Pinterest images for inspiration. This first landscape is going to look Italian. It will have a little seaside villa with a beautiful view. Like a proper Italian villa, it of course has a garden with everything that you would expect: cypresses, roses, and lemon trees. Yep, it's super cheesy. Someone must have asked AI to create an image of a dream place to retire. And AI delivered. Except for the steep hills, I think. I'm using an HB pencil to outline and shade some light things, like the sea or the cliffs in the distance. But as I'm getting braver and closer to the foreground, I'm switching to a very soft pencil. I think mine is 4B. It lets me cover more area faster and create contrasts. You can see that I'm not really bothering with nice pencil strokes. I don't really have time for this in 1 hour. Instead, I'm focusing on values, what's lighter and what's darker. The plants are always fun to draw because they come in all shapes and sizes. So there's really no way to screw them up. Okay, I feel like I'm on fire. The soft pencils are so fun. Except mine is getting kind of short. All right, an hour is up. This was fun. I'll see you tomorrow. Hello again, this is day 2. Today's Saturday, so my family gave me a leave to spend a little bit of time drawing in the middle of the day. It's actually a very beautiful day, so I set up my sketching station outside. I'm excited to try another view. This view is going to be more American. There's going to be a traditional colonial house with some lakeside land surrounded by mature trees. But there are also some wooded hills in the distance, so I'm thinking it's somewhere on the southeastern US coast, like North Carolina or Virginia. I'm somehow having a more difficult time today. I feel like yesterday's sketch session went pretty well, so maybe there is some pressure to do at least as well as I did yesterday. I'm also realizing that 1 hour is not that much time at all, so if I want to cover the entire page, I have to hurry. And to be honest, this may be a more complex landscape. It has some tree canopies that are somewhat shapeless and homogeneous, but at the same time kind of transparent. They let the light through. I'm not really sure how to sketch them without spending time drawing every branch and leaf, which would take me a week. But on the plus side, those tree canopies create some cool patterns on the road, which are fun to draw. Since I ran out of my 4B pencil yesterday, I switched to the only other soft pencil that I own, which is actually 6B. Not sure why I even own soft pencils. All of my drawing at the architecture school was line-based and required only hard pencils. But it's a revelation for me how much fun it is to use soft pencils. They make a difference with so little effort. And I love the blackness and the depth that they can create. All right, it's been an hour. I think I'm done. Welcome to day 3 of my experiment. It's Sunday. I have exactly 1 hour before dinner. In fact, in 1 hour, it's going to be 6:30, which is kind of late for dinner for my family. But I wanted to try and catch some daylight for drawing. It's interesting, but I've barely started sketching and I'm already feeling stressed about it. I've been thinking about how little time 1 hour is, and it completely depends on the landscape. If the image has only a couple of simple objects, it's fine. But if the landscape has some complex geometry, or some unique textures, or lots of plants, for example, then 1 hour is entirely insufficient. Then you don't have time to plan or even think, you just have to draw. It kind of reminds me of my job. Why am I doing this again? Anyways, I feel like on days like this, you just have to push through. So today I'm drawing a view somewhere in Greece. There are some white buildings, a chapel, and some potted hydrangeas, I think, in the foreground. And sea with some cliffs in the background. This time I got to draw some clouds as well. I thought that my sketching would get better as the week passed. But I actually think it may be getting worse. The enthusiasm is definitely dying out a bit. On top of my pessimistic attitude, I also have a project interview at work tomorrow. I'm an extremely introverted person, and events like that usually leave me completely drained. So knowing myself, I would definitely benefit from an hour when I could just be a vegetable tomorrow evening. In any case, I won't be in a condition to sketch tomorrow, so I'm going to skip a day. I somehow didn't think about it when I was planning this challenge. Well, the hour is up, and I ran out of my last soft pencil. I'll have to order some tonight. I'll see you the day after tomorrow. Hi, it's Tuesday. My project interview at work yesterday went well. I really hope we get the job. As promised, I spent last evening vegging out on the couch, but today I'm rested and ready to go, so let's do it. I'm back to drawing in the evenings. You can probably see that the light is not as nice. Also, I got a set of new pencils, so that's exciting. Today I'm drawing a one-point perspective of a cute little street with an arch. Another super cheesy view. I assume it's somewhere in Italy or France. As I'm drawing it, I'm realizing that it's not that interesting. Besides a one-point perspective, it's just stone walls and windows. And there's not much interest in light versus shade and shadow. Now I'm questioning why I picked it in the first place. So I've created all the line work and I'm shading now. The feeling that I'm getting from this drawing is that I have a coloring page and I just need to fill it all in, but with one single pencil. Everything is different boring shades of gray. And I'm kind of too bored to make nice strokes, so I'm just scratching with my pencil willy-nilly. Kind of feel like a toddler. Like I have no idea how to draw. This drawing is not going anywhere. Yeah, definitely a low point. Yesterday, I had a bit of a sobering experience with my drawing. Yesterday's drawing was the worst so far. I'm not super excited to keep going. Anyways, the image that I selected for today is of a tree in a field. As I mentioned, I think it's the most difficult to scrap natural elements, because nature comes in all shapes. If the tree that I draw doesn't look like the one that I intended to draw, no one will know. While if I draw a building with sloping walls, or a person with 3 arms, it will be more obvious that I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm trying to make my life easier by selecting this image. Today, I intend to focus on light and shadow, as opposed to line work or perspective like yesterday. Anyways, conveying light and shadow has been my favorite part of this experience so far. So today I'm trying to focus on why I decided to do this in the first place and what makes it fun for me. I'm drawing off photographs or photorealistic AI generated images, and each of the images has so much detail, which I'm totally choosing to ignore in favor of creating an overall scene. For example, the leaves and branches in the canopy of this tree became zones of different tones in this drawing. And all the individual trees in the distance become some dark squiggly lines. But I'm kind of wondering whether I would be capable of recreating a photorealistic image if I had the time. And whether it would be fun or extremely boring if I tried to do it. I think this sketch turned out fine. Maybe there is still some hope for this challenge. With yesterday's what I consider a pretty successful drawing of a tree, I feel more optimistic that maybe the tide has turned. Let's see whether I can keep the upward trajectory with today's sketch. Today I'm drawing a hillside collection of white houses. There is a steep stair and a pond in the foreground, and some landscaped garden in the background. It's a very cute community. I expect that people that live in these houses know each other really well because the houses seem to be built on top of each other, literally. Don't really know what else to say about this image other than that I would like to go there. I'm finding that maintaining this rhythm of drawing for an hour every night isn't really sustainable for me. There are several factors that make this challenge less relaxing than I expected it to be. First is the timer. 1 hour is not much time for what I set out to do. Add a deadline to any activity and it becomes less like a hobby and more like work. Second is the camera. I'm still finding it a bit stressful to draw in front of the camera. It feels like a performance. And it's also a bit constraining. I need to be conscious of where I place my hands, need to make sure I don't shake the table too much or stick my head in front of the camera. And finally, it's the regularity. I don't have a habit of drawing every evening, so I still have to force myself to sacrifice my precious free time or my TV time for this. I like my creative projects, but I also like the flexibility of being able to decide what to do on any given day. But all that said, it's very rewarding to look back at my day and know that I've created something today. Like this drawing. It's not much, but it's mine. It's a manifestation of my personal growth. It's proof that I'm more than a workforce at my job. It just feels great to make something. And I'm actually pretty proud of this drawing. Today's Friday again and the final day of this challenge. Today I'm drawing a seaside promenade with restaurants, outdoor dining, and other resort activities. The landscape looks South American to me, but there's no way of telling where this may be geographically. I realized that none of my previous drawings had any people in them. This one has some people at the tables and on the walkway, but I intend to keep them very schematic. Since today's the last day of this challenge, it's time to draw conclusions. So, did I grow in my drawing skill over the last 7 days? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that consistent practice and repetition by themselves are not enough for growth. What I think helps the most is analyzing the process, observing what's not working, and then taking some time to explore and experiment to fix problems. I didn't really give myself time or opportunity to do any of these things in this challenge. I approached this challenge like a job and not like a learning opportunity. But what I did get out of this experience is an understanding that the inspiration and joy that I get out of drawing come in equal measure from the freedom of the creative process as from the drawing itself. I enjoyed myself the most when I didn't think about time or the final product and allowed my mind to wander freely. When my focus shifted from lines on the paper to the places that I was drawing, the cobblestone paths, the flower bushes, windows or chimneys, or trees under which I could imagine myself hiding with a book. In this, the challenge was a success. It helped my mind travel. And I ended up with 7 cool sketches. Here they are in order. Let me know in the comments which ones are your favorite. I'd love to hear from you. And please hit the subscribe button to help me grow. Thanks, and see you next time!